Red flag alert. My best friend became a girl boss after joining toxic online forums. Now she's lost everything and is running out of time to save her marriage. It started with a simple Facebook post. Tired of the 9 to 5 grind? Ready to be your own boss? Join my webinar tonight. My best friend Sarah had always been the sensible one among us, the one who rolled her eyes at get rich quick schemes and warned me about online scams. So when she shared this post with 3 fire emojis and the hashtag #BossBabeLife, I didn't think much of it. Maybe she was being ironic? Or perhaps she was just curious about what these entrepreneur coaches were selling. I wish I had paid more attention then. I wish I had seen the red flags. Because within 6 months, I would barely recognize the woman who had been my best friend since college, the beginning of the end. Jen, you've got to hear this podcast, Sarah told me over coffee one Saturday morning. Her eyes had that gleam I'd seen before, the same look she got when she discovered a new TV show or tried an amazing restaurant. This woman started with nothing, and now she makes 7 figures working just 4 hours a week. She's offering a limited time discount on her course, only 48 hours left to get in. I nodded politely, stirring my latte. Sounds interesting. Interesting! It's life-changing! She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. I've been following these business gurus on Instagram. They've opened my eyes. We've been brainwashed, Jen. We think we need to work for someone else our entire lives, but that's just what they want us to believe. Who's they? I asked. The system, she said, as if it were obvious. And I'm not playing their game anymore. I'm building my own empire. Little did I know that this conversation would mark the beginning of Sarah's transformation and the start of a nightmare that would eventually threaten everything she held dear. The investment phase. 2 weeks later, I got an invitation to join Sarah's private Facebook group, Sarah's Success Circle, Empowered Women Empowering Women. The cover photo showed a woman on a beach with a laptop, the universal symbol of digital nomad lifestyle. I joined out of curiosity and support. The group was mostly Sarah posting motivational quotes against pink backgrounds, along with cryptic captions like, "Who's ready to level up? Drop an emoji below if you're tired of playing small." When I called to ask what her business actually was, she was vague but enthusiastic. I'm in the early stages, Jen. The investment phase. You have to spend money to make money, right? I've invested in 3 premium masterminds. They're not cheap, but you can't put a price on transforming your mindset. What exactly are you selling? I pressed. Right now, I'm building my personal brand, she said. The product comes later. First, you need to establish yourself as an authority. That evening, I searched online for some of the accounts Sarah had been tagging in her posts. What I found disturbed me. Forums full of women calling themselves girl bosses and CEOs, sharing tips that ranged from questionable to outright predatory. There was talk of recruiting downlines, maxing out credit cards for business investments, and manipulative sales tactics dressed up as empowerment. Many posts contained warnings about dream killers, their term for friends and family who expressed concern about their new ventures. With a sinking feeling, I realized Sarah had stumbled into something that looked suspiciously like a pyramid scheme masquerading as female empowerment. The transformation. Over the next few months, Sarah's posts became more frequent and increasingly aggressive. Her Instagram, once filled with family photos and vacation memories, transformed into an endless stream of carefully curated content. Sarah posing with her morning coffee caption, "This isn't just coffee, it's fuel for my empire." Sarah in business casual attire, staring pensively out a window. When you want what others don't have, you have to do what others won't do. Even photos with her husband Mark now came with captions like, "Grateful for a partner who supports my dreams while I build our future." Behind the scenes, things were different. When we did manage to meet up, which became increasingly rare, Sarah would spend most of our time together on her phone, engaging with her community. She had a script for every conversation. "You know, Jen, there's room for you in this too," she said during a rushed lunch. "I hate seeing you waste your potential in that dead-end job." I bristled. "I like my job. The hospital needs social workers." "But are you really making an impact? Are you living up to your full potential?" My mentor says, "Your mentor who charges you $5,000 for access to her Facebook group?" I interrupted, unable to hold back any longer. Sarah's face hardened. That's exactly the kind of scarcity mindset that's holding you back. Do you know how much I made last month from my business? How much? A pause. I can't reveal exact figures, but it's more than I ever made at my old job. And this is just the beginning. I knew she was lying. Mark had called me last week, worried about their finances. Sarah had quit her job as an accountant, a job she'd loved for years, to focus on her business full-time. They were dipping into their savings to cover their mortgage. The confrontation. 3 months later, Sarah invited me to a VIP launch party at her house. I assumed it would be a small gathering with friends and maybe some local contacts. Instead, I walked into a meticulously staged event. Sarah had hired a photographer. There was a backdrop with her new logo, Sarah Stevens Enterprises Live Limitless, and Instagram-worthy food stations that no one seemed to be eating from. The guests weren't our usual crowd. They were mostly women I'd never met, all dressed similarly in business casual with statement jewelry, all clutching their phones like lifelines. They moved around the room in a strange choreography, taking photos of everything but barely engaging in genuine conversation. Sarah was in her element, moving from group to group, phone in hand, directing impromptu photo shoots. "This is going to be amazing content," she kept saying. When she finally made her way to me, her hug felt performed, as if she knew the photographer was capturing the moment. "I'm so glad you came," she exclaimed, loud enough for others to hear. "What exactly are we celebrating, Sarah?" I kept my voice low. "The launch of my signature program," she beamed. 6 weeks to a six-figure mindset. I've already pre-sold 10 spots at $1,997 each. I did the math. Even if she was telling the truth, that was just under $20,000, before taxes, before expenses, and certainly not sustainable long-term. "And what qualifies you to teach this?" I asked carefully. Her smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened. "My experience, my journey, my transformation. Not everyone will understand the vision, Jen. That's why not everyone is meant to be a leader." Later, as the party was winding down, I found myself alone in the kitchen with Mark. He looked exhausted. "How are you holding up?" I asked. He glanced toward the living room, where Sarah was still networking energetically. "I don't know who she is anymore, Jen," he whispered. "Last night she was up until 3 a.m. recording content for her launch sequence. When I mentioned that we might need to think about her going back to her old job if things don't pick up soon, she accused me of not supporting her dreams." "How bad is it? Financially, I mean." He ran a hand through his hair. "We've gone through most of our savings. She's maxed out 2 credit cards paying for courses and coaching. But every time I bring it up, she tells me we have to invest in ourselves and that the return on investment is coming." "What about the program she just launched?" "She sold 3 spots, not 10. To her sister and 2 friends from her mastermind group who probably can't afford it either. It's like they're all just passing the same money around between them." As I was leaving, Sarah pulled me aside. "I noticed you didn't post anything about the event on your socials," she said, her tone light, but her eyes serious. "I don't usually post much," I replied. "Well, it would really help me if you did. Tag me, use my hashtags. Your engagement helps my algorithm." She pressed a business card into my hand. "And if you know anyone who might benefit from my program, I'm offering a referral commission, 15%. Looking down at the glossy card with its empty motivational slogan, "Turn your dreams into reality," I felt a wave of sadness. The Sarah I knew, who had talked me through breakups and celebrated my successes, who had a wicked sense of humor and loved bad reality TV, seemed to have been replaced by a walking Instagram caption. The downward spiral. Over the next few months, Sarah's online presence became increasingly frantic. Her carefully curated aesthetic gave way to desperate-sounding sales pitches. Her posts became more frequent, sometimes 10 or 15 a day, with increasingly urgent calls to action. "Only 5 spots left. Don't miss your chance to transform your life. Price increase at midnight. This is your final warning. Are you going to let another year pass without taking control of your destiny? Time is running out." Behind every deadline was another deadline. Behind every last chance was another opportunity, each more urgent than the last. The whole thing took on the rhythm of perpetual crisis. Meanwhile, her relationships were crumbling. Our friend group had a gathering at Rachel's house, and for the first time in our 15-year friendship, Sarah didn't show up. Too busy building an empire, her text message read. Some people won't understand your journey, and that's okay. Not everyone is meant to reach the top. That same week, Mark called me in tears. He'd discovered Sarah had taken out a second mortgage on their house without discussing it with him. She says she needed it for a high-level mastermind in Bali, he choked out. $20,000, Jen? For a week in Bali with some woman who calls herself a wealth witch on Instagram. Have you considered counseling? I suggested. I've tried. She says she doesn't have time, that I should join one of her mindset calls instead if I want to understand her vision. The breaking point. The real breaking point came 3 weeks later. Sarah had returned from Bali with renewed vigor and a new business model. Now she was selling spots in her own mastermind group, $10,000 for 6 months of group Zoom calls and a WhatsApp group. I discovered this when my phone lit up with a message from her. Hey girl, I've been thinking about you. I know things have been tough with your job lately. Things hadn't been tough. I'd just been promoted. And I wanted to offer you something special. I normally charge $10K for my exclusive mastermind, but for you, I'd love to offer a special rate of $7,500. I really feel like you're meant to be part of this journey with me. What do you say? Ready to say yes to your dreams? It was so transparently a copy-pasted message, so obviously a sales pitch masquerading as concern, that something in me snapped. I called her immediately. Sarah, this has to stop, I said when she answered. You're losing yourself in this. You're alienating your friends, you're putting your marriage at risk, and for what? To sell overpriced coaching to women just like you, who will turn around and try to sell the same empty promises to the next person. Silence on the other end. Then, I can't believe you'd try to tear me down like this. Is it jealousy, Jen? Because I'm finally building something for myself while you're still stuck in the same place? I'm not stuck, I replied calmly. I'm stable. There's a difference. Well, stability is just another word for settling, she snapped. I expected more support from my best friend. A best friend tells you the truth even when it's hard to hear. And the truth is you're being scammed and now you're trying to scam others. This isn't entrepreneurship, Sarah. It's a pyramid scheme with good lighting and Instagram filters. She hung up on me. An hour later, I discovered she had blocked me on every platform. The aftermath. 2 silent months passed. I heard updates about Sarah through mutual friends. Her business was failing, unsurprisingly, since it had never really been a business to begin with. She'd dropped the price of her mastermind from $10,000 to $997, then to $97, with increasingly desperate emails going out to her dwindling list of followers. Mark had moved out after finding out she'd been hiding the true extent of their debt. Their house was now on the market, a must-sell situation according to the listing I found online. Then, on a rainy Tuesday evening, my doorbell rang. Standing on my porch, mascara streaking down her face, was Sarah. I've lost everything, she whispered. I pulled her into a hug and led her inside. The confession. Over cups of hot tea at my kitchen table, Sarah's story came pouring out. It all seemed so real, she said, her voice hollow. These women online made it look so easy. Just follow my formula, they said. Just believe in yourself enough. And when it didn't work, they told me it was my fault, that I wasn't implementing correctly, that my energy was off, that I needed to invest in yet another course to break through. She had spent over $50,000 on various coaching programs, courses, and masterminds. She had maxed out their credit cards, drained their savings, and taken that second mortgage. All to chase the promise of financial freedom that always seemed just one more investment away. Mark's filing for divorce, she said, fresh tears forming. He says he doesn't even know who I am anymore. And the worst part is I don't either. How many people signed up for your programs? I asked gently. In the end, 4, and 2 asked for refunds. She laughed bitterly. I've been working 16-hour days, alienated everyone who cares about me, and I've made less than I would working part-time at Starbucks. What about all those posts about your success, the luxury lifestyle? Sarah pulled out her phone and showed me a folder of over 1,000 stock photos she had purchased. Women on beaches with laptops, close-ups of designer coffee, luxury hotel lobbies. I took 10 photos in different outfits at a hotel lobby once, she confessed. I've been posting them one by one for months, making it look like I'm always traveling to high-end destinations. That car I posed with? I told everyone I bought it with my passive income. I just asked the dealership if I could take a photo with it. It would have been funny if it weren't so tragic. The worst part, she continued, is that I've done to others exactly what was done to me. I've sold empty promises. I've used the same manipulative tactics that were used on me. I've become everything I used to despise. The road to recovery. Sarah stayed on my couch for 2 weeks. During that time, we worked together to untangle the mess her life had become. We cataloged her debts, canceled her remaining subscriptions to various premium groups, and drafted a realistic budget. The numbers were grim, but not insurmountable. More difficult was rebuilding her sense of self. The girl boss identity had consumed her so completely that without it, she felt lost. "Who am I, if not a six-figure entrepreneur?" she asked one night. Even though it was all fake, at least it was something. "You're Sarah," I reminded her. "The same Sarah who helped me move apartments 3 times without complaining. The Sarah who can destroy anyone at trivia night. The Sarah who cried at that toothpaste commercial because the grandpa reminded you of your dad." Slowly, glimpses of the old Sarah began to emerge. She deleted her business social media accounts and created a new private Instagram where she posted honestly about her journey, both the seduction of toxic girl boss culture and the painful process of extracting herself from it. To her surprise, her authenticity resonated. Women began reaching out to her, sharing similar experiences. Without intending to, Sarah found herself at the center of a genuine community, a support group for recovering boss babes. The final chance. 6 weeks after showing up at my door, Sarah received a text from Mark. He wanted to talk. "What if he just wants to finalize the divorce?" she fretted as she got ready to meet him. "Then at least you'll have closure," I said. "But Mark loves you, the real you, and that person is coming back." They met at a neutral location, the coffee shop where they had their first date 8 years earlier. Sarah texted me afterwards with cautious hope. "He's willing to try counseling," she wrote. "He says we're running out of time to save what we had, but he wants to try." It wouldn't be easy. Trust, once broken, is difficult to rebuild. The financial damage would take years to repair. But for the first time in months, Sarah was facing reality instead of chasing an illusion. The warning signs. Looking back, I can see the warning signs so clearly now. 1. The sudden obsession with mindset and dismissal of practical concerns. 2. The rapid personality change and adoption of a script-like way of speaking. 3. The constant references to nameless mentors and their supposedly extraordinary success. 4. The pressure to ignore critics, labeled as dream killers or small thinkers. 5. The focus on recruiting others into the same system rather than developing a genuine product or service. 6. The emphasis on investing in yourself by purchasing expensive courses and coaching. 7. The performative display of success before any actual success was achieved. 8. The increasing isolation from friends and family who questioned the new path. These aren't just the hallmarks of someone falling into toxic girl boss culture. They're the classic signs of someone being drawn into any kind of exploitative system that profits from its members' desperation and desires. 1 year later, Sarah and Mark are still together, though their journey hasn't been without challenges. They sold their house and moved into a smaller apartment to pay off their debts. Sarah returned to accounting, starting at a junior position at a new firm. The humility of beginning again has been painful but necessary. More importantly, Sarah has become an outspoken critic of the predatory side of online business coaching. Her new blog, Red Flags and Real Talk, chronicles her journey and helps others spot the warning signs she missed. "The irony," she told me recently, "is that I'm actually building a real business now, one based on honesty and genuine value, not manipulation and false promises." Her audience is growing, not because she's promising anyone overnight wealth or freedom from the 9-to-5 grind, but because she's offering something far more valuable: the truth. As for our friendship, it's stronger than ever. Sometimes the hardest thing a friend can do is stand firm in the truth, even when the other person isn't ready to hear it. I'm just grateful I was there when Sarah was finally ready to listen. If you're watching someone you love disappear into a world of toxic positivity and empty promises, don't give up on them. Be patient, be honest, be there. Because when the house of cards inevitably collapses, they'll need somewhere safe to land. And if you're the one caught in this cycle right now, if your feeds are full of coaches promising you freedom while emptying your bank account, know that it's never too late to step away. The real definition of success isn't a staged photo on a rented yacht or a carefully crafted caption about your seven-figure mindset. Real success is waking up as yourself, surrounded by people who know and love the authentic you, doing work that adds genuine value to the world, no hashtags required.